Welcome back, Trailblazer fans, to our Athletic Weekly Recap Show. I'm your host, Maggie Allen, and I'm here with Assistant Athletic Director Jeff Polari. Jeff, how are you?
Good, Maggie. How are you?
Good. Let's start off with baseball. They have a record of 3-5 in the MASCAC to date, and let's talk about what we're looking for in that.
Yeah, baseball's had a little tough time just kind of getting going after the southern trip. The weather hasn't really cooperated, but they currently sit 3-5 in the MASCAC standings. They're in a pretty decent position, still with 6 conference games left in the regular season. They started with splits with Framingham and Fitchburg and Mass Maritime. Sandwiched in between was a sweep, doubleheader sweep from Salem State. So you can see we're 3-5. We're kind of battling for our playoff lives. A couple of real key matchups coming up starting this Saturday at Bridgewater State if the Trailblazers want to get into the playoffs for the first time in a few years.
All right, so speaking of those key doubleheaders coming up this week, so Bridgewater State, like you mentioned, and Westfield, what is the team? So the team is battling for playoffs, obviously, but what do they need to do? Yeah,
the matchup with Bridgewater is obviously key. It's on the road, tough place to play typically for MCLA. Bridgewater's been scuffling a little bit as well, but I'm sure they'll be ready to play when we get down there. Westfield State has just been really hot. They're one of the top teams in the New England region to date. I think they were 5th in the latest poll. So it'll be a tough challenge to go on the road down at Westfield as well. And then they close the regular season the following weekend with Worcester State on Senior Day. So it'll be a challenge for MCLA. They got 6 conference games left. Probably going to need to somewhere 2-3 wins to secure a playoff berth. So should be an exciting couple of weeks.
All right, so the team needs 2 to 3 wins, like you said. So let's talk about the key players that are going to help the Trailblazers get to that. We have Joe DeMassimo, Billy Pulaski, and Eamon Andre.
Yeah, they've been pretty much a balanced attack and getting some production up and down the lineup from different players on different days. It's a much deeper team than what they've had in years past. Joe DeMassimo has been great all year, leads the team and runs batted in. Had a great game down at Fitchburg State last weekend in a 14-12 win, drove in 4 runs. He's been a real key player. Billy Pulaski's probably the hitter that most of your opponents are circling in the lineup of somebody to kind of keep an eye on. And Eamon is just continuing to do the things that he's been successful with since he's been here. He's coming out of the bullpen, leads the team in ERA. He's got a sub-2 earned run average, and has really done a nice job out of the Trailblazer bullpen, kind of solidifying things. So MCLA is going to need to get a little bit better off the mound from the starting pitching. The starting pitching's been a little bit of a challenge, so it'll be interesting to see where they go again with some key games here coming up as they head down the final stretch.
Right, so we wish the baseball team luck, but now we're going to move on to lacrosse. They just hosted Worcester State at home for one of their last home games, and they're still searching for their first conference win.
Yeah, they stayed with Worcester State early on in the contest. MCLA is still in search of their first conference win, but then ultimately the Lancers kind of pulled away to a 15-6 win. That was Tuesday night at Shoecraft Field, and this weekend is actually their final home game. They host Mass Maritime Academy. Both programs are actually currently 0-4 in the MASCAC standings, so something's got to give in that scenario there. It'll be interesting to see how MCLA comes out in the standings. They're going to need at least 2 out of their final 3 to have a chance at the postseason. So it'll be certainly a challenge for them, but we look forward to hosting the Buccaneers on Saturday at Shoecraft Field at 3 o'clock.
Right, and so Saturday is also Senior Day, and these are 2 players that kind of helped get the women's lacrosse team and the program started. What are we looking for from these 2 seniors?
Yeah, so we're actually going to be honoring 3. We've got Svetlana Morel, Rachel Green, and Natalie Caney. Svetlana came out for the program last year. Was her first year in the program, and Natalie and Rachel have been there kind of from the beginning for the first 3 years that the program's been a varsity program here at MCLA. So it'll be nice to kind of honor them. Hopefully the weather holds and it's a nice day, and ultimately, as we just said, hopefully they can walk away with their first conference win over Mass Maritime on Saturday.
Right, and so we talk about the seniors. Caney is one of the key players of this team. So is Kim Granito and Mackenzie Cutler. Let's talk a little bit about them.
Yeah, one of the interesting statistics with the lacrosse program is the balanced scoring that they have. The trio that you just mentioned, Mackenzie Cutler, Kim Granito, Natalie Caney, are certainly by far and away leading the team in scoring. I believe Cutler's got 30 goals, Granito like 29, Caney 28, somewhere in there, give or take a goal. But each of those has provided a little bit of a scoring punch, and he is capable of getting anywhere from 3 to 5 goals on a given day. So it's nice to see the balance in the lineup a little bit more solid, I guess, on the attack than what we've been in years past. It hasn't translated in the conference, but again, as we point to Saturday, hopefully that balanced scoring finally pops through with a victory.
Right, so moving back to the ball field, our softball team just hosted a doubleheader against Mass Maritime and took 2 W's there. So that puts them at 2-6 in the MASCAC.
Yeah, similar to the baseball program, softball's had a tough time kind of getting going since the Florida trip. Just a couple of rainouts, a couple of bad weather games. They started out 0-6 in the conference, but as you can see here, they popped a couple of wins with Mass Maritime on Saturday. I'm sorry, on Patriots Day on Monday to kind of get them going a little bit. It's going to be a challenge for them. They've got a real key matchup with Bridgewater as well. We're tied in the standings, both kind of languishing there at 2-6, and it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top there. But important couple of weeks, similar to baseball for softball. If they have postseason aspirations, they're going to have to step up a little bit.
Right. So they're also playing Bridgewater State and Westfield, kind of like mirroring schedules that baseball and softball have.
Yeah, the conference has. They do mirror the schedules for baseball, softball, and again, they're in a very similar position to baseball. They're going to need to win 2 or 3 games in order to get into that postseason. The top 6 in the conference standings make the playoffs. So certainly going to be a challenge for the softball program, and it begins, like I said, with a long trip to Bridgewater on Saturday. They got Westfield on Tuesday before they close. MASCAC play the following weekend with Worcester State.
Right. So I had a chance to actually see the softball team play this past week, and 2 players that stood out to me were Caitlin Bergala and Erica Quackenbush. Let's talk about those 2 players.
Yeah, a lot of new faces on the softball program this year, certainly, and we'll start with Erica Quackenbush, younger sister to Rachel, as some of our fans may be familiar with. But Erica's, certainly done a lot on the offensive side of the ball. She's batting 3rd or 4th for us perennially in the lineup. She's driving in some runs. She had a good day yesterday with a win over Southern Vermont, collecting 3 hits in that one. So she's been a force. And then one of our lone returners that we've had, Caitlin Bergala, has really stepped forward. One of the top offensive players in the league, currently leads MCLA in runs. She's kind of a nuisance on the base path, so if she can get on there, she can make a lot of things happen. So
she flies around those bases.
So a lot of bright futures ahead. But those 2 players especially are going to have to step up their game a little bit and produce if MCLA is going to go to the postseason.
Right. All right, moving on to our men's tennis team. They're currently 4th in the final NAC playoff spot. So
yeah, so a little bit different with tennis. We compete in the North Atlantic Conference, the NAC, and their season actually is really, really brief. It winds down this weekend with a match, a key match, which is really a playoff match with Green Mountain on Sunday. The winner of that match will move on to the postseason. The top 4 teams make the NAC playoffs, which will be held the following weekend. So it's really a key match that we're really looking forward to. It's going to be at the Zavatero Complex. They've been able to get a few matches in up there in this last week, so it's great to see them outside. Again, hopefully the weather holds and we can get some fans there in support of MCLA and what, again, is on paper, it's a playoff game for us.
Right, so that's a huge matchup against Green Mountain. That's this Sunday. Let's talk about a few key players that are going to help them clinch a win.
Yeah, it's nothing new to the Trailblazer fans, but Aaron Goldsmith, Rob Wobschnak have been really key players for the last couple of years. They play 1-2 in the singles. They also team up in doubles action. So it'll be, they're going to have to really be counted on to earn some points, certainly in the match with Green Mountain. And we've had a couple of other players step forward. Andrew Nygaard's a freshman who's also a member of the soccer program, has been earning some points. Jeff Mason, Robbie Garrett, Jared Freeman, some of those folks have also stepped forward. So, the depth in tennis is really important. There's 9 points in a match, so you got to get to 5. So it's important to see those players step forward.
All right, let's talk about Alumni Weekend. We got some familiar faces coming back to campus.
Yeah, one of the highlights of the spring as you get closer to the end of the semester is always Alumni Weekend. This weekend we'll welcome men's and women's soccer players back to campus for a tournament on Shoecraft Field Saturday morning through early afternoon. We'll also welcome back volleyball alumni to play a match somewhere around 1 o'clock in the Amsler Campus Center. We're hoping to see anywhere from 50 to 60 alumni back on campus, which always is great to see our alumni come back, get a chance to meet the current team, kind of rekindle with coaches, so to speak, and just talk about their experiences and have a little fun in it. So again, as I've said a couple of times, hopefully the weather holds. We get a nice day for those alumni and families to come back.
All right, what's on task for this week? What do we got coming up?
Yeah, so we got some non-league matches first. We've got baseball's actually heading to Williams College today, which is kind of an impromptu rescheduled game. Baseball was scheduled to play yesterday, a doubleheader with LaSalle. It got canceled because Williams is so close. They got together and said, hey, let's play tomorrow. So that game takes place this afternoon. Men's tennis will actually host Western New England tomorrow at the complex. Supposed to be a beautiful day for that, heading into their key matchup, as we already said, on Sunday. And then Saturday's conference day. Baseball and softball will travel to Bridgewater. We've already mentioned how important those matchups are. And lacrosse hosts Mass Maritime on Senior Day. So really some important things to look forward to as we wind down the semester. Less than 10 days left of the regular season. Hard to imagine, but that's where we're at.
It's crazy. Season's coming to close. Well, Jeff, we want to wish all our athletics teams good luck this weekend and then their coming up games. And I want to thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
Thank you, fans, for watching. And I just want to let you know you can stay up on all things MCLA athletics by following our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.